hours that I can hang out for. So let me just make sure, check that everything is on and live. All right, let's do this. So what I wanted to do this stream was fix our little character in the foreground, and we have the line art, which I have right here. I'm gonna grab this line art layer, drop the opacity on this thing to something pretty low, but low enough so that I could still see it, but it won't get in my way when I'm working on new stuff. And you see that right now he's all nude colored. We're gonna want to give him shorts. So I'm just gonna pick out some colors. I think I'm gonna go for another brown, like darker brown, leather looking, sort of tribal gear, and that's what we're gonna go ahead and drop on this kid. I guess color schemes and stuff. Well, let me see, my screen went really dark because of Flux. Yeah, sure, let's disable it for a while. Okay, back to this kid. So as I was saying, essentially you want to kind of keep things like color palette and all that in the back of your head, and maybe that's something that you want to even figure out before you start coloring. But I'm going for an overall, basically the things that need to be colored, what would they be colored in real life? Alright, let's use those colors on them, and then we can play around with things such as the overall color feel later by tweaking it with a few settings, especially if you merge the layer. I find that like at the end of the painting you can merge everything down, and then you can if you want, you can tweak the settings and add specific hues to, like, let's say make it look more yellow so it looks more like a sunrise or a sunset setting, or you play around and add more blues. So yeah, that's basically what I'm going to want to do. But for now, I'm just focusing on getting this kid rendered. And when I say rendered, I don't think I want to get him to the point where I'm like, okay, that's it, I'm done, I'm not gonna go back to this kid anymore. Maybe I want to get to that point, and probably if I dedicate the stream to that, that's what's going to happen. But I just want to get it to the place where I keep him on a separate layer and everything looks good. I don't feel like it's in a rough area anymore. We sort of started that with the bee, but I still need some of the legs and the fuzzy stuff done on it. So it's not quite done. I would say it's like 60% done. And that's kind of a weird way to measure it, because the final 40 might take as long as the first 60. So we'll see. For the straps, I think I want to give him kind of a white shirt so that we have a little bit of white within the image itself, and we'll make it a little bit beat up and torn up eventually. For now, actually, I'll just color in the entire shirt, and then I'll just add the straps over the top. So you see me going over the leg, and the reason for that is it's not a big deal because I can just redraw the foot. It's not like I had some crazy colors up in there, so that didn't really cost me anything in terms of time. And I don't want to add any drastic highlights to anywhere on the kid, except maybe a little bit on the arm, since you see like this crack in the flower. If our sunlight, our directional light is coming from somewhere behind the flower, maybe would creep up in there, and that's something that I try to consider, and something that I'm still learning and trying to improve on. So this piece specifically, I'm trying to push that element where I'm trying to teach myself, kind of like have the environment have directional light, so it's not just like a single light source, when you're doing a still life of like a cup on the table, but instead you have, a cup on the table, but the shadows and the light that are being reflected onto that cup are, say, from the upstairs like little moon roof or whatever, moon window, you know what I mean? So it basically is more environmentally tied together than just having like its initial shadow, or a little bit more detail in terms of, it's not just this object that's casting the shadow, but it's affecting the other shadow of the other object and all that. And I think that's when you start thinking about that stuff, like that's when things can get really complicated really fast. And I would honestly still recommend for even a beginner to start thinking about those things, because where I find myself, I didn't try implementing lighting techniques such as that until just like last year probably, so there's still a lot I need to work out in terms of knowing what type of materials affect other materials, and when they're wet, when they're dry, if it's broken, if it's brand new, kind of like showing age through of a surface through textures and all that. And I know a lot of people, it's pretty popular nowadays to photo bash, where you get really quick, really good results, or using like texture brushes and stuff. And while I think that's perfectly normal and that's a good thing to do, I've tried to practice doing textures without texture brushes. So kind of like trying to learn the materials, or what concrete might look like. And I must say it's actually really hard, but and it does help to start with having a little bit of concrete references or something. I guess I'm not talking too much about the painting while I'm working on it, but the whole point is, I try to kind of like not take shortcuts. And in a weird way, I still kind of did take shortcuts, because I didn't end up devoting as much time as I should have to things like learning anatomy, for example. That's why you'll see me like redrawing a lot of basic things many times, a lot more times than I think I should. But that's just something that I'm looking forward to like improving, and hopefully I will not have that issue. Alright, let's get back to this character. So all I'm doing essentially right now is using some sort of base color for the skin, and going in and filling little gaps and stuff between the line art, and that's going to shape the overall image of the kid. And he has like a giant chin, but I kind of like this character design. I think it's somewhat unique. Maybe it's not like too balanced or whatever, not good enough professional on a professional level, but it's my character, and if that makes him unique, even in its own failed way, I guess, then I'm okay with that. You got to realize that there's always this level of, in art, there's always this level of people who wish they were able to do stuff like you, and then people whom you look up to and you feel like even if you were to put in hundreds and thousands of hours, you would never reach. So to some, they might criticize it as it's not photorealistic, whatever, or it doesn't make sense professionally, and other people are like, man, I love your style, that's exactly the kind of stuff that I'm aspiring to doing. And as long as you're happy with it, even if you're still trying to improve. Just as I'm okay with this design. I feel like, yeah, it's, I just threw it together. I'm gonna move the mouth a little bit lower. He looks really silly right now. Being able to see the line art, which I can probably get rid of a little bit. And you improve on this type of stuff by drawing a lot of it, like an insane amount of little doodles and sketches, trying different techniques out and looking at references. It's all about, I feel like with anything in life, the people with like the insane work ethic, with almost like inhuman work ethic, are the ones that basically end up achieving these like really cool results. And I would say that I fall on the completely other scale, where my work ethic is pretty crap. Like I'm trying to do a lot of things at once, and this is what I want to do, but at the same time, I have other hobbies, like let's say gaming and video games and all that, and I always find myself procrastinating, like watching a YouTube video here or there, or just like playing on my iPad, and then I remember like, dude, I just gotta get work done. So it's really, really hard. And I think it's like that with a lot of artists, but like I said, the ones that have a good work ethic are just, because they're able to put in all the hours needed to become good, they end up being industry leaders and pretty much celebrities. So, well, at least as far as the artists go. So anyways, that's something to think about, I guess, if you feel like your work ethic is good. And another cool thing is, not to discourage anyone, is I've heard, from my sister and stuff, because she knows me pretty well, and she's like, do more with your life. Anyways, that's besides the point. But she was just telling me how she's like, okay, Igor, you gotta get better at working, become more responsible and stuff. And I'm like, I know, I have to. And she says it's just a matter of, I don't remember, was it like a mindset? Not really, but she said it's just a thing that you can actually do. You pretty much learn to do whatever it is you want to, when it comes to being more, or procrastinating less and stuff. So anyway, the moral of the story is, if you're willing enough, let's say even if you're the laziest person in the world, or you feel like you have the attention span of a goldfish, with enough dedication, you can actually totally break out of that and do a complete 180. So that's really cool. And I'm the type of person who, even after hearing that, I'm like, in my head I'm like, yeah, but do I want to do that? That just sounds like so not me. So it's kind of a, I don't know. I feel like I'm expecting you guys to understand what I'm saying, or like understand where my mindset is without even really explaining it well. But what are you gonna do? So let's go to the line art and erase a little bit more of the fill that I have. And the fill are just the little scribbles that I ended up drawing in when I was trying to figure out, where the different shirt stuff goes. So I'm gonna erase some of this line art, and that's mainly because I'm starting to clean up these lines. Normally I would probably just completely turn off the line art layer already and just work in the solid color layer and just draw and adjust according to what I feel like looks good and what doesn't. So I'll kind of do a hybrid, because I also do this technique as well. And I guess it's not really a technique because, you know, there's nothing to it. You just kind of erase the parts that you already covered, and the parts that you have not yet touched, you don't erase. You still leave those line art guides up. This kid's face looks crazy. I'm gonna need to adjust it. Like, he doesn't look scared. He looks like he's on a really bad acid trip or something. So what I'm gonna do with his entire head, I guess his face, is I'm gonna chop a part of it and I'm gonna adjust it. So you probably would not want to do this with a normal human head, you know, one that had okay proportions, but I feel like his proportions are all screwed up, so I'm going to need to do a little bit of editing here. And we're going to work quite zoomed in because I got to get this guy right, and, you know, it could take a while. 1 + 1 equals 2. Math isn't my strong suit, but last I checked it was 2. I don't know what I should call you. A boa, maybe, for short. So this kid's face looks crazy, and I think part of that has to do with his mouth. His mouth will need to do. I'll probably end up, I don't know, referencing some sort of exaggerated, scared face. Just so I like the open eyes though. We're gonna keep his eyes open, and, you know, maybe I'll change the eyebrows up a little bit because right now it's just a single line. So I can definitely just scribble in a bit more to see if I'm liking the change or not. I think I need to cut down the neck size. And I'll do that with just a darker color. So you see me kind of cutting into the whole kid, and I know that I already got rid of some of the line art, but I think it's far enough along that I can just mend it with, you know, a few colors. Just quickly filling it, as you can see, not that big of a deal, right? It's pretty straightforward when it comes to, you know, making adjustments after you have some of the color fill from the line art layer, because we already have the bigger. Hey Constantine, how's it going? So yeah, as I was saying, is you have the form starting to take shape, kind of like if you were, say, working with a block of clay and you started creating the vase. You can have the first shape even if it's a little bit lopsided, and working from that after making adjustments just gets a lot faster. And I think it's a similar case when it comes to painting. So we're going to give him a little arm brace here on the left. I think we want to change up the color here, but I'll probably go with a dark. No, I don't want to do red. I think we can do like this weird green color, but go pretty dark. I'm on the line art layer. I gotta make sure I go to the right one. So we'll do just like wiggly lines on the outside to kind of indicate that it's a material that's wrapping around his hand and it's uneven on the edges. And I'll make that more apparent later. So let's see. And I want to erase a little bit off the shorts on the bottom because they're huge looking right now. I think if I get rid of the, yeah, we'll do that. We'll get rid of the whole background, and you know, this doesn't really look too pleasant, but I don't care. That's what needs to be done to kind of fix this guy overall. And I'm gonna work on this kid a little bit. and see if I can clean up his model to the point where I like how it looks, even without the background. Because essentially it shouldn't matter what the background really is, because if you work in layers, you'll have that flexibility of being able to change it up. Obviously it does matter, but on its own, if it doesn't look good, what are the odds that it will look good when you do add a background? And it's important that you light the object into the background and shade it into the background and all that, but still got to get that form in there. So real quick, I dropped the layer underneath, and in this layer I'm gonna use some more solid colors and just try to, as you can see, I guess it would be equalize the color fill. Basically there's a few areas here and there that have less opacity, because I like using a brush with slightly less opacity, and I go in and I fill it in. Hey Zoe, how's it going? Yeah, Procreate is pretty amazing. I'm really excited to see what they do with the new Apple Pencil thing. I know that it might only be limited to the new iPad, which kind of blows, because you have to buy a new product, but hopefully that means the update kind of affects all the other users too. Alright, so his hand right here has a really weird thing going on, and that's going to be the hand with the spear. I'm going to grab the transform tool and shift it over, and we won't shift it much. I'll still want to kind of keep it close to the leg. I think that's fine. We're gonna make the shirt look like he's wearing it a little bit more by kind of exaggerating the sleeves, pushing them out, and then underneath the sleeve on the little roundabout part you can grab a darker color. That's too dark, but since our opacity is lower, it should be fine. The lower opacity kind of gives you a couple of chances to get the color how you'd like. So it's really weird, this part right here with the shorts. You kind of want to show some of the shirt, at least I want to show some of the shirt underneath the hand, but at the same time the shorts are there, and I'm going to redraw them a little bit here. I want to show them going up the pant leg. But I think in order to do that, I need to completely redo the foot up front. Kind of make it face us a little bit more. Okay, that's all right. So I had a person ask me, why don't you get a stylus? I mean, it makes sense if you paint, more than, I would say, even a painting a week, even though I don't do that much. But it's not much. I mean, I work, but if you spend time drawing on your tablet and Procreate, and you paint for a long amount of hours, why wouldn't you invest in like a $50 or $60 stylus, or however much the Wacom thingy cost? And it's not a bad idea. I feel like right now the pens are still a little bit wonky, and the technology needs to, the software, maybe even the hardware, needs to improve to the point where there's good feedback and low latency, because that's just, I think everybody agrees that having a delay on your strokes and all that is just going to cause you to be frustrated. Maybe if you're doing like really sloppy painting where it's super fast and you're just doing it, or like you have a little kid and you just want them to paint their heart out without ruining your walls, maybe. But I feel like if you're trying to spend a good amount of time and make a painting professional looking, those tools are yet to kind of catch up. But another thing is, and I think for some this is actually a pretty valid point to consider, is I draw on my computer with a Wacom tablet, and as you can see, I have a regular Wacom pen. See? Ooh. It obviously doesn't work on the iPad because it's a Wacom specific tablet, but my hand actually gets destroyed from drawing for a couple of hours even, and just the way I hold it, I don't know, something's wrong with me. Yeah, but it feels nice to sit down and just use my fingers for a change and move my hand around and hold it in like a more natural manner. And I think that's it's a valid point for somebody who just doesn't want to draw with a pen for another couple of hours. This way I'm able to. I just finished actually sketching for a while and decided to get on, even though it's like 7 a.m. here and I haven't slept yet. I decided to get on and hopefully progress with this piece a little bit more. And I think this kid is slowly starting to become something. Our little hero. Let's move his nose down and widen it a little bit. He's not an anime character, where they have insanely small noses. We're going to actually give this guy a proper not that big. No. I was gonna say a proper nose, but we're not recreating the Pinocchio here. That's still too big. I think his beady eyes with like a giant nose, it becomes all Nigel Thornberry up in here. We don't want that. Or do we? Nah, probably not. So when it comes to shadows, the darker the shadow, usually the more defined or like the deeper your object is. So if I was to shade this nose with a really dark color on one side, it would show that it sticks out really far, having that giant change. And I'm sure a lot of people know this. It's pretty straightforward, but for somebody who might be completely new and kind of starting from scratch, it would make sense. If you're drawing something and you're using too dark of a color, if you feel like it's just not looking right, maybe you're going too dark, or maybe you're not going dark enough. Maybe you need to add a little bit more contrast to kind of like push that whatever object it is you're drawing to push its form so that it makes sense. I'm using too big of a stroke, so the little ball part of the nose starts looking really rough. And like you zoom out and it looks like cauliflower or something, which is kind of gross. So I'm gonna add a little bit more shade here, and I'm actually going to run this shadow down a little bit and then soften it. I think it's just needs a little bit of tweaking. That's what it needs. Maybe a lot of tweaking. I actually don't draw enough characters, humanoid characters, and it's not something that I guess I do enjoy it, but it's not something I do often because I don't enjoy it as much as drawing, just animals. That's why I have like an animal in this scene. But just like drawing any other animals, a lot of times for me it's, just trial and error, coming up with something on the go. I could spend, maybe a couple hours prior to starting the painting. I can sketch things out and try to figure out, the design and why it works or something. But part of the fun for me is figuring it out on the go, and that's what that's what I've kind of been doing, and that's probably what I'm going to keep doing until I get to the point where where I get good enough to kind of like have that be my thing. Hopefully. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe, who knows, maybe I'll discover or learn a technique from, somebody who's really good at what they do, kind of adapt it to become my own. But for now, I feel like, the style that I paint in suits me because of my work ethic and who I am as a person. Alright, let's see. The nose is getting there. I actually like the shape. I just think the positioning is slightly off. It needs to be about there. We want to put it in the center between the eyes, but since the head is tilted to the right, my right, then, well, I guess your guys is right too, because you see what I see on the screen. Then I'm gonna move the nose slightly off center and more to the right. And then when it comes to the mouth, we'll do some sort of like either downwards open, like downward smiley or frowny with an open mouth type of deal, or I'll just do like an O-shaped O. We'll see. I don't know yet. Okay, and when it comes to the shorts, I think I'm going to try to add a little bit of a rim to the short itself. I'll have to fix it. I don't really like that, but it lets me know, instead of having a line kind of indicate where that thing goes, where the shorts end and the leg begins, and vice versa. I'm gonna do like a lighter colored fill of the shorts just along the edge. So essentially I have this line as the edge, but in the future the difference is I can kind of like smooth that rim light into the image, and then the line once again disappears, but it's now it's still there, but it's now a lot more subtle. And that's a technique I've seen other artists use too. Hopefully I described it well enough. I wonder if my tiredness is kind of showing. I don't have much time. Probably another 45 minutes or so, and I want to maybe more than 45 minutes. I don't know, we'll have to see. No, actually about 45 minutes. So I want to finish this guy as much as possible, but at the same time, like, I want to make it entertaining to watch, so I'll still try and talk you guys through the process, or my thought process, even if it's a little bit on the laggy side. Okay, so we've got the shirt, we've got the shorts somewhat done. I still want to draw the straps for the flower. And another cool thing I was thinking was give the kid skin paint. So what's the word for it? Just face paint, just paint, I don't know. Yeah, he's gonna have body paint there. That's probably the word. And the reason I want to do body paint is I want to make the bottom of the flower be polka dot colored, and just dots, I guess, and have some of that color on his face so that he sort of blends into the image a little bit better. But for now, I think I'm going to do the spear. The spear is going to be, see, I'm falling into this habit where everything I'm drawing on this kid involves a lot of brown. So I guess that's his color scheme, is just brown, brown, brown. But I don't want the picture to look muddy, so I might have to do some adjusting there. So this is part of the spear handle, and the reason it's running into the leg is I want to make the bar thick enough so that it's not sitting right next to the leg, because then you have like this awkward little crack between them, and that's not really good for an image. When you zoom out, you know, you'll see like a small thing of different colors sticking out, and it might just look bad. So, you know, you want to avoid things lining up and looking too perfect, I guess, because then it doesn't really look, I know it's kind of weird to say, it doesn't look realistic, but it just looks too planned out, and yeah, we'll avoid that. So we have the spear. I'm gonna lock the layer real quick, grab a silver-ish color, some gray. We'll obviously tie it with a rope and all that in a little bit, but first I want to try to implement these straps. Let's merge that spear down, create a new layer, and this one will have the straps. Might as well use some brown. Let's see how it'll turn out. Maybe I do want to run a different color, because the brown into, no, actually it's fine. I feel like, oh, maybe I should use some of that green. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use the green. And the reason for the greens is, it's kind of like, imagine if they just use a vine. So pretty much the kid has vine armor or bracers, and he's using vines from their environment to create a makeshift backpack or strap to put on the giant flower. Logic, right? That's my world logic. Have you ever thought of, you know, if you could create a world or a universe, what would be in it? You know, how would it work and all that? It's pretty difficult. I tried to come up with, you know, a unique concept, especially something unique is insanely hard to come up with. I guess that's why there's, you know, people that do it for a living, like comic book writers and stuff, but man, you know, props to those guys. So I guess, you know, something like this might sound ridiculous, but it's just an idea starter, and if you are to pitch it to, let's say, a team of guys, you know, they might be like, oh, that's pretty interesting, I like that. So that's kind of, now I'm not saying I'm trying to turn this into a thing, this is just a single painting idea. I doubt I'll ever even revisit this type of universe, but you know, who knows, maybe these kids encounter other things and there's a whole giant like adventure behind it all. But alright, so here I just took a slightly lighter color and went along the strokes of the vines, but on a slightly smaller brush size, so that the outside of these strokes is darker than the inside, because like I said, I took the same color that I did for the vines and then just slightly turned it up a little bit so that it's slightly brighter, and this gives it a kind of round shape, because if you're looking at a round object and, you know, so the object is round, if the light hits it from the top, obviously the lightest area is the one that's directly facing the object, which in a circular object would be the center. So hope that makes sense, but I kind of didn't really explain it too well. But anyways, yeah, that's some of the vines. I'm going to, before merging them down with the kid, I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to grab the shirt and do a darker color and quickly go in and add some shadows underneath the vines. And I'll hide the layer with the vines so that you guys can see the before and after. It's really annoying that I didn't put the feet and all that on a separate layer, because as you can see, I'm kind of like bleeding into them, and you don't want that. It causes you, to have to go back and erase multiple times and redraw stuff, and sometimes it might not even look as good as the first time, or it'll take you some time before it starts looking good, and it's just a waste of time. So if I planned things a little bit more, I probably would have avoided that. Alright, so now we've got some shadows. I said I'd show you. See, I take off the vines and you got this like really weird design. Yeah, well, that's the shadow, and you can see before and after. And even if the character is in complete shadow, you would still have the vines casting shadow onto the shirt, because they're so close to it that even less light gets in there. Kind of like you could be in shadow and you can close your hands and they get even darker. So that's something to consider. Should I drop the vine down? No, you know what? Let's leave that layer up for just a little bit longer. I will grab this shadow color and just go along the other parts of the shirt that I think a lot of shadow would be casted. So I think down here at the center, maybe the color would still get lighter. Let's grab some more of this gray. Go along the armpit. Again, it's bleeding a little bit into the leg, but that's fine. I'll just erase like I have been doing. Actually, this time we're on the kid layer, so I'm not going to erase. I'm just gonna instead pick the color that I want to redraw and then just redraw it. And another good reason to have the leg on a separate layer is in the future I could just lock that layer and kind of draw the highlights on the knees and stuff without having to be careful like I am right now. So, oh well, you live and you learn, and sometimes you don't learn until you do it like 100 times. So I guess you still learn eventually. Whoops, that was the eraser. Don't want to use the eraser. Moral of the story is eventually you learn. So that's good. That's going to be the hand gripping the spear. Okay, he looks very weird. His face has different patches of skin. He's albino. He's an albino kid. I guess that'd be kind of cool to play around with, race and stuff, just not to have like a stereotypical Caucasian kid in some crazy land. But, whatever. It just happened this way. It's actually really, really difficult to draw African American skin. I really want to learn it, and I think I should challenge myself to do that for a painting very soon. But I was watching, I forget his name, a YouTube artist I follow or I'm subscribed to, and he did that as one of his drawing exercises, and it was really cool to watch. So right now, the hands are doing this thing where I don't like it. I'm gonna flip the image. Canvas, flip horizontally, because I'm tired of looking at it from that one perspective. So his shirt, you see his, I guess now it's his right hand, the hand that's holding the spear. The way the sleeve doesn't match the other side. One can argue, oh, it's a shirt, it moves around, it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetric, and I agree with that, but I just kind of feel like I need to push it up a little bit, the hand itself. Maybe something like this. I don't know. Because the vine's on a separate layer, we don't have to worry about messing with it. So, that's nice. Layers are nice for that. hopefully I've encouraged, somebody who's completely new or maybe terrified of layers to give them a shot, because those things come in handy. Alright, let's temporarily get our background back up. Although I think I need to actually fix the flowers somewhat. And we do have that on a separate layer, thank goodness. So we just grab that flower layer and make all the little necessary adjustments. I want to put a leaf back there so it can kind of help ground the character. I think that's fine. I'm gonna lean more towards a red or orange, and I actually want to go even darker. I think I want to push the contrast somewhat. Even darker. That's way too dark. Let's go more towards the yellow. Still too dark. Oh, another thing you can do is you could pinch like that to increase the size of the color wheel so that you can more accurately choose whatever color you want. I find that pretty helpful sometimes. I don't always use it. I kind of just wing it with the colors until I'm satisfied, or I just mix and match. And another thing is, you can't adjust the hues when you zoom in, so if you're trying to get a little bit more red and stuff in there, you gotta just pinch it back out. Still a cool feature. My shoulders are getting tired from sitting all weird. That is one of the downsides, when I'm painting off stream, and that's why I feel like, when I was first at all attempting to stream the iPad paintings and stuff, I was able to paint for a pretty good amount of time off stream, but then I realized very quickly that one of those reasons is, well, first of all, I still took breaks. Second of all, you sit however you want, and that's it. Those are two really big realizations that I was like, man, this is tough to do for a couple of hours, and I haven't even been drawing for an hour, and I'm already like, I'm dying. I need to sit comfortably. Alright, let's take a look at it. So far, there's been progress. The bee looks actually really terrifying compared to the kid. I need to change his hornet thingy. I'm gonna do that right now because I'm excited to do it. But we're gonna make this guy look crazy. Let's do that. So we go to the body. I'm gonna take off the layer lock. I want to give him a solid stinger. One that looks like if he pinches you, then your ancestors will feel it. Real quick, just color correcting. And we'll just grab some of this gray. Something like that, but I think we can make it look, we can even make it look creepy by having some of, like, make it look like it's growing out of its butt or whatever. Having some of that, what would you even call it? Skin of the bug, the shell, kind of creeping into, almost looks like the little hornet stinger is being torn out of its carapace, right? Something all crazy. Look at that, like, see, it's all a little bit fuzzy-ish looking now. It's not too, BBS or whatever children's TV channel you watched as a kid. A little bit more Adult Swim. I'm just kidding, I don't know what I'm talking about. Just trying to create a slightly scarier stinger, so hopefully this works. And then we can also grab a pretty sharp highlight. So it doesn't really work here. It would work if our highlight, our directional light was coming from underneath the bug, but it's not. So I'm not going to do that, but I will cut down the tip so that it's sharper, and I might do some rim light on the side to kind of indicate that, you know, it's being lit from whatever side. I do actually want to grab the whole stinger and push it upwards, because right now it feels like it's coming down too quick when the butt is supposed to sort of be facing backwards. So you see me doing all these adjustments, but I feel like because I'm talking about them, hopefully it helps those that, you know, aren't sure when they see somebody working, and they see him like always cutting and moving stuff around, and you know, wait, but why did they do that? It looked fine. You know, hopefully talking about it kind of helps you guys understand, and you know, maybe I don't know, maybe it teaches you what not to do, at least. So I want to curve the thing that's holding the stinger. I want to curve it downwards, and the reason for that is if it's curving upwards, it looks like the stinger is headed towards us, and if it's curving downwards, it looks like it's headed the other way. And still, I feel like I want to just want it to be a little bit shrunk in size. Not the stinger, but the stuff that it's coming out of. So I'm going to move it up a little bit further, but I do like the change. I think the other one was a little bit silly. Yeah, and I'll probably still make a couple changes similar to what I did to the stinger as we try to complete this piece eventually. And this is one of those pieces that's taking me forever because I'm doing it on stream, and I'm like, even if I wanted to work on it and I'm not streaming, I'm like, well, dang it, I can't, because I don't want to be like, oh guys, you know, here's what I've done, and then people are like, well, that's actually the only part I wanted to see, and you ended up doing it without showing me. So that would suck. I don't want to do that. I think we can also do the wings today. I feel like if we, you know, we started getting this kid in, so let's do a little bit of the wing stuff. For this, I'm going to duplicate the layer. I think the stinger will still need a little bit of adjusting, especially down here. I've already duplicated the layer though, so if I end up erasing it, I'll want to not forget to make a couple of these adjustments. So note to self. And I'm still going to make his butt all furry and stuff, so that's for later. So even if I do forget, I'm pretty sure I'll remember when I go back and do it again. So the wings. Here I'm going to delete the wing where it connects to the bug a little bit for now. And part of that reason is I think I want to make the wing connector and stuff all very visible. It's gonna make the design more believable, and it'll look cooler. So that's like two really good arguments to why I should do it. And I have that kind of like pictured in I have the picture of how I want it to look in my head. So, you know, if it doesn't end up looking like that, well, tough luck. Besides, I think the wings need to be up pretty much higher than I have them. I would say, well, I'll show you where I think they should go. And let's do a darker version, and I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to draw it behind this current one. And I think the wings should be somewhere up here. But like I said, I want the connector stuff visible, so I'm going to cut the wing down, at least the initial attached part of it. And I think we're going to do like a quad wing. So we have two larger ones. I'm going to do two smaller ones. Let's shape them like that. All aerodynamic-y. I realize that's not a word, but come on, guys. I think it paints a picture. Aerodynamic-y. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I'm not gonna say that again. At least for another video. It's the sleep deprivation. I wonder if I have insomnia. Honestly, I legit don't know. I've never tried NyQuil either, so I might one of these days try NyQuil, but if it kills me, then you guys will know what happened to me. So at least there's that, right? Let me see, it says here that I still have a slight wing visible, and I think I'm going to just turn this thing off for a sec. Nope, it's not. That's really weird. In the thumbnail it's showing like a little wing. Oh, I see what it is. It's actually under the head right there. Alright, got it. I got it. Alright, and I think I can even... Well, I was thinking I should just duplicate the two wings that we drew, flip them. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'll use that as a base to what the wings are going to look like. And the reason for that is this, again, gives me a chance to show you guys more features and kind of help you paint whatever it is you want to paint. So here we're going to use the little arrow thingy that flips, and now you can see we've got like a little mirrored flipping thing. I'm going to position it to approximately where the other wing would connect. So if I was to hide let's hide the head and the body, oh my gosh, and the eyes. You see the wings are now kind of close together. So let's position them closer together. Let's grab the top edge and distort them so that they're sort of folding over the bug, I guess. Do that. Sure. I feel like I need to make them a little smaller, but you know what? That's fine. I'm still just using that as kind of like a start, a place to start. Get the eyes back in there, and then we just merge this down. I think it is time for a new iPad. This thing is like, I click on it and it's supposed to merge. I guess I can just pinch merge them. But see, it's taking its time responding. Hello, tablet. There we go. That was supposed to happen about 10 minutes ago. And I think that's just slowing me down to the point where my patience is wearing thin, and I'm like, you know, I'm trying to sleep, but I'm not gonna go to sleep. I gotta drive out soon, and it's not a good idea to drive tired, but I'm a pretty safe driver, so it's not like I'm going to be speeding. We'll see. Hopefully it all goes good, and I actually have to get off in like less than 10 minutes, so I'm going to try to get as much progress within that time, or maybe just explain what we've got going on. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the other body. I think all of these layers are slowing everything down, but I can't really collapse anything yet. I can get rid of line art. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna get rid of the old flower line art because I kind of know where stuff is. I'm going to get rid of the line art for the B as well because, well, I don't need it. I can see I can see all that. I'm going to get rid of the line art for the kid. And that essentially gets rid of all the line art. So the wings real quick. We can start with this same line art sketch. I don't actually think I need to do too much to it. So I want to make them transparent, and one way to do that is to use the colors that are seen behind, you know, whatever it is object that you're painting that you want to seem transparent. Like right here, you see that we have some grass in the background. Well, check this out. If I fill the wing in, right? So say I fill the wing in with a solid, you know, whitish color, ivory color, and you know, it's just one that I got from the background. But I want the wing to look transparent. Obviously it doesn't look transparent right now, but if I say do this, let's lock this layer just so we are not worried about drawing outside the edge and screwing anything up. Let's add a couple of these insect wing sections, if you will. And then, well, I guess that doesn't look too insecty, but you know, whatever. And then I can just grab some of the background color and make sure that you vary it up a little bit. You know, some blue. We have more than just this white background color, so we're gonna grab some blue, especially closer towards the wing itself. And then you'll see, I'll zoom out, and you should see there's a little bit more transparency than before. You know, again, it might not be 100% realistic looking, but you know, if you get results that you're happy with, how can you not be okay with that? So real quick, and now when you get to the part like the grass, you can grab that same green color. If you use this, since we have the opacity turned down a little bit, we can just pick up the lighter color of it, since it's now mixing with the yellow, and you just go over areas near where the reflection would go. So you don't have to be 100% accurate, because you know, if it's a reflective surface or a transparent surface, my bad, then it might get distorted a little bit depending on what it's traveling through, you know, what the light is, or whatever, what you're seeing through it, you know, might not be 100% identical. And that's what makes it, you know, that's what makes it fine. Like, you don't have to worry about nailing it exactly. And you see the wing, I guess because of these little cross lines, gray cross lines, it looks a little bit weird, but I think you can see that it looks transparent. I'm going to grab a highlight color and just run it along in here and give it some texture. And this is again mainly for an example, but I'm gonna do something similar to the wing overall. So we use like a lighter color to kind of indicate that there's specks on the little thin film, and they're picking up more light than other areas because, you know, they stick out, so more light hits them. Something like that, right? I don't know, guys. Anyways, boom. That's 1 out of 4 wings. Not really done, but kind of done. And that's probably going to end the stream here. A little bit more progress, nothing really too crazy. Honestly, I think there's this painting overall still has so much more to go. But I need to find a day where I'm not working, where I can just kind of get in there, hammer it, get it all done for you guys. Anyways, thanks for watching, anyone and everyone, and feel free to ask any questions. Sorry again, it wasn't very eventful, but you know, that's what it kind of takes to get to the good stuff and eventually finish it. So have a good day, guys. Later.